ॐ शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। दयानंद रूपम मदाचार्य मीडे। So we were looking at how Shankara is talking about people who take sannyasa without making proper analysis of the world and the experience. So it is just an outward sannyasa where you just change your dress and wear different vesha, and there are varieties of such sadhus wherever you go. And Gatilo mundi lunchita keshava kashayambar bahukritaveshah पश्यन्नपि च न पश्यति मूढः उदरनिमित्तं बहुकृतवेषः. So why are they doing this? Udaranimittam, for survival, for the sake of survival. There are many who take up to this lifestyle, not because they have understood the reality of life and the nature of birth and death. There is some fascination. It really looks nice when you look at the sadhus, the way they live, how they go about, and it's really very fascinating, you know. Such a simple life, and they don't have any possessions. Generally, they don't have any possessions. Some may have. That is the type of sadhus Shankara is addressing. There are some people who have possessions. They'll have everything in their kutia. They call it a kutia. A kutia is a place where a sadhu lives, and this a hut. Kutia means a hut. I shared that picture, right? That is the most simplest form of living. I'm not talking about that. That is only a sadhu who has real vairagya can live like that. Others can't live. But some people, as I mentioned in the previous class, it is a challenging life, you know, even to live like that. There are, if you're lazy and you're okay with whatever you get, then you can live like that. There are many people who live like that at home also. They won't do anything, no, they won't contribute anything. They'll be at home, not bothered. You scold them, you abuse them, you say whatever you want, nothing touches them. You don't know whether they are really a sadhu and an enlightened everyone. In many families, we can see such people. So they will say, why are you scolding him? He's such a sadhu. The word sadhu is also being misused, you know. Sadhu doesn't mean dumb. When somebody is dumb, they say they is sadhu. There is a difference between dumb and innocent, even though they both look alike, you know. Innocent and the dumb look similar in their vyavahara, in their activity. But there's a huge difference between being dumb and being innocent. So a dumb person cannot be called a sadhu. Especially in South, they will say sadhu. Means he doesn't know anything. So not knowing anything is not a sadhu. Not knowing anything is a moodaha. It's a daddi. Idiot, fool. Literally. So we are not talking about a dumb person here. When we call a sadhu is one who is has studied the Shastra, one who has understand. A sadhu is one who doesn't harm anyone. Even when somebody harms them, you know, he doesn't defend himself. That is called sadhu. Not because he is incapable. See, a dumb person is incapable of defending himself or answering back or anything, whatever. See, a sadhu is not someone who is incapable, even though he is capable, even though he is smarter than the one who is standing in front of him, or even if he is stronger than the one, you know, the offender, he still doesn't try to protect himself from him. That is called a sadhu, a strong person, but he chooses not to because he has taken the brata not to hurt anybody. That is a sadhu. This sadhu he is talking about, they are people who have taken up this vesha, this attire, you know, for the sake of udara, for the sake of survival. So Shankara is saying all this external change is not going to help you in any way, because you still continue to be that same pathetic person who is seeking attention, who is seeking respect, who is seeking arthakama. Arthakama in a different form now. We have different types of arthakama. Maybe you will have different types of diksha patra and a different type of fascination for different types of rudraksha mala or tulasi mala or whatever, you know. It is different now. What you seek may be different. अग्रेवन्निः पृष्ठे भानुः रात्रौ चुटुक समर्पित जानुः करतलभिक्षस्तरुतलवासः तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशापाशः. Even then, अग्रेवन्निः, we have seen this last week, I think. Tadapi na munchati, even then he doesn't give up his asha pasha, his hope and attachment. We have this in the, you see Deva and Devis, you know, in the temple, they have this pasha and ankusha, right? Pasha. Pasha means, in Tamil we have this word pasha. For gum we call it as pasha. Pasha means that with a glue, okay? That which sticks. So when you snigdha, you know, when you touch like this and you try to pull your fingers apart, it doesn't come easily. Both the fingers are stuck, not literally hard stuck like a Fevicol stuck. Sometimes a Fevicol is also a pasha, that it sticks. So relationships are sometimes like that. Your relationship with another, relationship need not necessarily be with another person. Your relationship with your job, your relationship with money, everything, you know. If it is a pasha, then it becomes difficult to come apart, you know. It sticks. That is called pasha. So asha means hope. The hope that I will get more, this will change, that will happen, then I will do this, you know, that is asha, having a hope. It doesn't mean you should be without any hope. He's saying even if you change the environment, the hope that you will get something, you can earn something, you'll have a better life, it doesn't go. Even when you become a so-called sadhu. And the pasha, the attachment. Pasha means attachment. So that is called pasha. So that attachment also doesn't go. It never goes just because you change your dress. Of course, at night you will sleep there. You will then you will curl up. When it is very cold, then you will sit in front of a fire and all that. So you will be receiving diksha in your hands, and but still, even in spite of living such a life, the person is okay living such life. Okay, he has no complaints about it. But then the asha has never left him. So it is not easy. So be very careful when you take up a sadhu life. That's why many people, when they take up this life without examining the truth and without any viveka or vairagya, then they give sannyasa to sannyasa. They will take sannyasa, then they will give sannyasa to sannyasa and give up that dress and wear some other white or color, and they get married to the student who comes to their class. There are many instances like this. And Sisha is warning, Shankara is warning, before you make a decision, such drastic decisions, unless you have a Dhrida Vairagya, you cannot take up that dress. Kurute Ganga Sagara Gamanam. Kurute Ganga Sagara Gamanam. Vrata Paripalanam Athava Danam. Jnana Vihina Sarvamatena. Muktim Muktim Mukti Bhajati na Bhajati na Muktim Janma Satesha. Bhajati na Muktim Janma Shatena. Kurute Ganga Sagara Gamanam. So this Ganga, going to Ganga and doing Ganga Snanam is considered as a punya karya. It gives you lot of adrishta pala, lot of punya. Ganga Snanam gives lot of punya. And Sagara Gamanam. Sagara means where the ocean, going to the sea and having Snanam. This gives lot of adrishta. Samudra Snanam is very special. And especially when the Sangama is there, where a river and the ocean come together. The Sangama is very, very Vishesha. Why it is so Vishesha? Why Sangama is so special? Because the goal of the river, from the time it, whatever the source it may be, it just keeps flowing till it reaches the ocean. Whatever hindrance is there in between, whatever obstacles may be there, sometimes it goes below the obstacle, sometimes it goes above the obstacle, sometimes it goes around, but still it always flows towards the ocean. So that's Jiveshwar Aikya. But Vedanta Vachana, if you have to see it physically, then once it mingles with the ocean and the river mingles with the ocean, at that point, you do not know which is ocean and which is river. It's difficult to separate them. They are one. That's why this Sangama is very, very special. Sagara Sangamam. A movie was there, right? Ganga Sagara Gamanam. Even otherwise, Ganga, it's a Punya Nadi where everyone at least once in your life should have Ganga Snanam. So people used to go on Yatra. So Gamanam, Ganga Sagara Gamanam means what? You go where the Ganga is there, which means you go on a Yatra. You go to the Ganga and you have Snanam. Then Sagar Snanam. You go to where the Sagara is. Suppose you are living in a mountain area, then you travel all the way down to an area where there is a ocean. Then you do Snanam there. Kurute Ganga Sagara Gamanam. Vrata Paripalanam. Vrata means, vows. Religious vows. Vrata. You have this, a sankalpa, you make a sankalpa, like Mauna Vrata, Upavasa Vrata. Like in Upavasa Vrata, means fasting. Upavasa Vrata means Upasamipe Vasati. Upavasa means not, the word Upavasa doesn't mean fasting. The word Upavasa means where you spend most of your time Samipa, Upasamipa, close to Bhagavan, which means you give up all other activities and focus only on doing Manana Jnanam of Bhagavan. That is called Upavasa Vrata. on that Upavasa Vrata, since you need more time for worship, you don't spend too much time on eating and cooking and all that. So generally they will take phala ahara. Phala means fruits, ahara, milk, anything according to yatha shakti. That is what is called Upavasa Vrata. Then Mauna Vrata. Mauna Vrata is again in order to cut yourself from talking too much with other people. So you will have more time to focus on your religious activities. When you when you say today I'm not going to talk, then people don't come and bother you. But generally that is the day they will come and try to bother you because they want to make you talk. And that is the time when everything goes wrong at home. Then you are forced to talk. And Mauna Vrata, generally Mauna Vrata is to why people maintain Mauna? Because to let go of the pressure to talk. You know? Sometimes there is a pressure to talk, pressure to comment on everything, give advice, and or simply talk. So this Mauna Vrata helps one to have mastery over your mind. The pressure to express all your thoughts in the form of speech. That is why Mauna Vrata is taken. On the day when Mauna Vrata is, the Vrata of Mauna is taken, the person is supposed to say, just keep quiet. Not talk in sign language or write something on the board. It's not about not using your speech. It's about not having the pressure to express, pressure to involve in all the activities. Even writing is a form of speaking, and sign language is a form of communication. So Mauna is not about somebody. It's like today I am in Mauna Vrata. It's not, you don't send a WhatsApp message or an SMS or an email. Anyway, you're Maunam. So what's the point of saying, declaring it to the word? There is no point in that. You can just be Maunam. So Mauna Vrata. Vrata Paripalanam Kurute. So this person, he follows all the vratas. Somavara Vrata, Ekadashi Vrata, Pradosha Vrata, and many other vratas. Like sometimes you give up on certain days, you say, for Santoshi Mata, they will say, I won't have anything that is sour. Then you say, I won't have anything salty. You say, I won't have anything that is sweet. So all these you do in order to have mastery over your indriyas and also as an offering to Bhagavan. So this is a day I do this. It's almost like a tapas, right? To do all this. Going to temples. And along with vrata comes giving dhanam. Atava dhanam. Or this person is involved in giving dhanam. Giving annadhanam or vastradhanam or jaladhanam. Giving water to the thirsty. All those things. Jnana vihinaha. Such a person keeps on doing this. All his life he is doing. He is jnana vihinaha. Means what? He doesn't realize he is an ajnani, ignorant fellow. In what way such a person is ignorant? He is ignorant in the sense he thinks all this will free him from samsara. But all this karma is not going to free you from samsara. All this karma will give you punyam. You gain adrishtapala. And what to do with that adrishta? What have you already gained? You have to spend it, right? In order to spend it, you will be born again. So having lot of punya doesn't mean you won't have another janma. In fact, lot of punya means you have to be born again, one more janma or many janmas in order to exhaust that punyam. So he is a mudaha. The mudaha, he doesn't know, he doesn't realize This is not going to free him from samsara. So this cannot give you mukti. This cannot give you moksha. Even janma shatena, even if you take 100 births, in every birth, if you keep doing only this, vrata paripalanam, ganga sagara gamanam, danam, dharmam, everything, it is not going to give. Janma shatena muktim na bhajati. Bhajati means gain. He is not going to gain. He will do the same thing again and again. That means he will get a better body, a better life, better accomplishments. Everything may become better and better and better and better. So you will be continuously seeking only artha kama, artha kama, artha kama, artha kama, artha kama. And of course, Navendan Dharma also. And in every Janma, again, once you are going to earn Punya, Papam also, there will be some mistakes done. So you learn Papam, you learn Punyam, and in order to neutralize that Papam, again, you will do more Punyam. This is going on and on. You are thinking only about this one Janma, my dear. There are so many Janmas which you have already done. And you are going to do continue in many more Janmas also. Don't think it is over with this. So, is Shankara ridiculing all these practices? This doubt may come. He is not ridiculing. He is not ridiculing Ekadashi and Pradosha. Shankara has written such lovely sutras. So, how will he ridicule all this? He is not ridiculing his religious practices. He is saying, how long will you go on? At some point, you have to, all these karmas, actually, the person who is doing all this is doing all the right things, right? And Dhanam is the right thing to do. Going to Ganga and having Ganga Snanam is the right thing to do. Going to the Sagara and having Snanam is the right thing to do. Katha is the right thing to do. All these are perfectly right things to be done. But then it is only going to put you again and again in samsara. It is not going to free you from it. Again, there will be dukkham. We saw samsara is a mixture of papa punyam, is a mixture of sukha dukkha. Predominantly sukham or predominantly dukkham, or both are equal for some people. So nothing wrong in doing all these karmas, because people walk all the way from Rameshwaram to Kashi. Kashi to Rameshwaram is a big yatra, right? In those days, people used to walk. Even now in Pandharpur, we can see people walking up to Pandharpur. Here also in Palani, people walk to Tirupati, everywhere. People keep walking, and they carry also the devatas on their head, on their shoulders, all these. It's not easy. Being such a religious person and following such vratas, it's not easy. But still people do it, not knowing that this will not free you from samsara. But this religious discipline will give you some antakarna shuddhi. Will have some, depends on why you are doing it again. If you are doing it only for punyam, if I do this, I will get punyam, then you will be the same person just earning some punyam. That's all. A rich man who is compassionate and kind, what will he do with that richness? He will distribute. A conjuice man, one who doesn't care, one who is selfish, he will also earn money, right? If he is smart, he will earn money. But what will he do with that money? He will spend it on himself. So there are even a disciplined, religiously disciplined person, he will continue to do earn punyam, but he will still be the same insensitive person or whatever. So you, the person, don't change. But if you are doing it for antakarna shuddhi, in order to remove your kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, then it will definitely help. But Shankara is not addressing that person. Here Shankara is talking about the person who really doesn't bother about all that. He's so focused on only money. So he says this is not going to help you. Janma Shatena, even 100 births you take, it will not help you. Now let us see. There is another person who takes sannyasa. And this sannyasi is someone who has understood himself, his nature. One who has really understood the value of Artha Kama. He understands that Artha and Kama are not capable of giving one fulfillment. It is impossible, it is incapable of giving any fulfillment to me. How much ever I earn, I'll only feel that it is less. There's never going to be alam. Iti na vidyate. Then pariksha loka, and then this pariksha examines everything. And he realizes, oh, there must be something. Isn't there anything achieving which I can be happy all the time? Why seek one by one by one by one by one? Just one shot if I get something. Then I can be happy all the while. I don't have to be afraid, don't have to worry, there is no dukkha. What is that? Then he goes to a guru, Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam Samitpanihi. Then he goes and he studies, then Atmajnanam Labate. That person, one who has Vairagya. A sannyasi is a Vairagi, we say, no? Vairagi. Vabhayor Beda is there, like in Bengal. In South Indians will say Vanga Desha, but there they will say Bangla. So Vabhayor Beda is there. So for Va they will say Ba, and this Ba there is Va. So this Vairagi, sannyasi is a Purna Vairagi. What does he do? One who is a real sannyasi by knowledge, not by dress or change in environment. For him, Suramandiratarumoolanivasah Shayyabhutalamajinam vasah Sarvaparigraha bhogatyagah Kasya sukham na karoti viragah. For a sannyasi, real sannyasi, sannyasa through knowledge. For him, he doesn't have any possession. He doesn't possess anything. So what does he do? Sura Mandira. See, in a temple, he resides in a temple. If he wants to sleep, if he needs shade, he will sleep in a temple, rest in a temple. There are mandapas, you know. In fact, in Tamil Nadu, if you see, all the way, you will find small mandapas, stone mandapas, all the way. And now everything is in a dilapidated condition. A tree would have been grown over it, and sometimes it's broken and fallen. So why were these mandapas provided? These mandapas are provided for the travelers and also for sadhus like this, especially for the sadhus, because they don't have a house of their own. They don't own a house. Our culture, look at this, even culturally, everything was in keeping with all the four ashramas. The sannyasis were taken into consideration. They need a place to rest. So there will be a mandapa, there will be some water resources close by. So they will go to that canal or river, they will take bath. And if you see, there will be a temple also close by. And they say in this Rajapalayam temple, Andal temple is there, right? I forgot the name of the temple. When we visited the temple, they said they will at noon Naivedya is offered to Devi. They will ring the bell. Once the Naivedya is done, and then there will be another bell to inform the person who is distributing food somewhere else to say that Naivedya is done. Then wherever there are such sadhus or travelers, food will be distributed. Annadhanam was done. Everywhere these mandapas were there and people used to. It was the responsibility of the Raja, the king, to provide food to all these peoples and also to the sadhu especially. And also, as I mentioned, there are many communities who were providing food. They knew what sort of food they should give to a sadhu. So all those were there. So being a sadhu was very easy. Very easy in the sense that you don't have to look for food. People came forward to give. So much reverence was there for sannyasa ashrama. So you sleep under a temple or a mandapa like this. Tarumoola means under a tree. You know, everywhere there used to be this imli tree, Puliyamaram. You know, Puliyamaram is the best tree. It releases so much oxygen. It's huge, and if you sleep under the tree, you will just fall asleep immediately. It's very cool. That's something special about that tree. So, and what will they wear? Bhumi is the bed. What will they put on the floor? They need a mattress or a mat or something, a piece of cloth. No. Bhumi is the mattress for them. Shayya Bhutala. And then Ajinam. Ajinam is the deer skin. They wear the deer skin. A dead deer. They don't kill the deer and wear it. How do you know whether it is the skin of a deer which has been killed or not, or naturally dead? So on the skin, the deer skin, you can see an arrow point. If it has been killed, then you will find that it will be pierced, or if there is a bullet, it was shot, you will have a bullet mark. A hole will be there. So, deer which has died naturally will not have such marks on its body. How do they get the deer skin? People who live in the forest, generally the sadhus would go and live there. So they also knew. Our Vanavasis are not ignorant idiots like they describe today. They are Pakka Sanatana Dharmis because they live with Bhagavan. The river is Bhagavan for them, the trees are Bhagavan for them, even animals are Bhagavan only. But they depend on meat also. They were not people who are depending only on meat like that industries we have today. Meat as an industry. Not like this. They used to have honey and fruits and all that. They had their own type of cultivation was there. So these people, if they find a dead deer or tiger, they will remove the skin, they clean it, and prepare it well in a wearable condition and give to the sadhus and sannyasis or whoever is there. And then there is something called a bark, dress made of a bark of the tree. And not from any tree, because the bark of the tree will be very rough. So there are particular types of tree from which when you take the bark, it is really like a cloth, you know. It may be hard, but it doesn't pierce your skin or hurt your skin. So there are particular types of trees from where you make those marauri. I don't know what it is called in English. And then even this wooden paduka is not made from any wood. You cannot use any wood to make paduka. There are particular type of trees from only wood from that particular tree is used to make paduka because it is safe and it is healthy. It has certain qualities which nourishes the feet. So like this they live. Suramandir talamura nivasaha shayya bhutalamajinam vasaha sarva parigraha bhogatyaga. Bhogatyaga. They have given up all pleasures. Don't have any intention to do anything in order to enjoy. They're always enjoying whatever they have. Whatever they don't have, whatever they have or don't have, they are just happy. So don't have to do anything in order to be happy, to experience something special in order to be. Sarva parigraha. Parigraha tyaga means uh, having any possession, owning anything. They don't own anything. So even some people don't even have Diksha Patra in hand. There are some sadhus who will have a Diksha Patra. There's nothing wrong in having a Diksha Patra. It's not a big possession. But there are some sadhus who will cry, you know. They will hide it under their head or in their bag because if it is gone, then what will I do? So even that position, they say, it binds you. Anything that you are afraid of losing is enough. That is samsara. they take some banana leaf or any trees. There are many trees, even we have a tree in our Gurukulam. That even that Vage Maram, they say, tree leaf is so huge. Even actually two people can have food in that leaf. One side one person, other side another person. Uh, there are many such things available given by nature, so they will use them. Or whatever they can receive in their hand, karatala, whatever they can receive in their hand, that much food is enough. I'm happy with that. So they give up all attachment and renounce all the comforts. Sasya sukham na karoti viragaha. They are really blessed. They have nothing to worry about, nothing to fear about. And he does not require anything in order to be happy. He need not avoid anything in order to be happy. He is happy whichever way he is. Tasya sukham na karoti. How he will not be happy, how he will not be contented. A person who has really understood what it means to be dispassionate. So the one who doesn't possess anything. So possess anything in the sense, here we should not misunderstand that we should leave everything and go. You don't, the object doesn't possess you. We say no, when the spirit is there, it's a spirit possession. The spirit has possessed the person. The possession means something else is controlling you. You are so possessed. Either that object, the objects are jadam, they cannot hold you, but you are holding on to it and you have a longing for it. So it is as though you are bound to it. And whatever that object does, you will also do. So if the object thinks, if the object is going to leave you, then you will say, okay, you will compromise. Oh, don't leave me. I will do this. I will compromise. I will do that. I will do this. But don't leave me. All that will happen. So that is called, that I told you, snigdha, pasha. Pasha means that stickiness. So you can still bring the fingers together without any stickiness. Fingers need not be held together only when there is a stickiness, right? You can still do this. They will come together. Need not be any glue there to hold them. So there is nothing to hold. If necessary, you come together. So when you separate from it, there is no pain. If there is a glue, there is a pain, right? You have to feel it. It goes. So when there is no glue, when there is no pasha, easy. There is no separation at all because there was no attachment. So the one who doesn't possess anything is really happy. Or does it mean everyone should be poor? No, it's not talking about poverty. It's not talking about poverty. You can be rich. You can have all the possessions like Janaka. Maharaja is a jnani. He's a king. Just imagine. A king means he has to protect his people, he has to fight, he needs to have spies to make sure to get information from everyone. He has to make sure his treasury is full. He has to provide for everyone. A person in a family has to provide only to his family, maximum 4 or 5 people. But the king has to provide to everybody, whole kingdom. But still, Janaka was a Mahajnani. What a contrast when you compare him with Dasharatha. Dasharatha, poor Dasharatha. He had only love for his Rama. It's not to say that Dasharatha is anyway lesser than Janaka. Dasharatha is an amazing, wonderful king, great king. But he had this. See, that one is enough. What does Ramayana say? What does the character of Dasharatha teaches us? You can be free from everything. If you have attachment only for one, that is enough to pull you down. Enough. That one thing is enough for dukkham. You don't need many things to be sad. This one thing is sufficient to make you sad. However great you may be, the one thing destroys. But Dasharatha is definitely an amazing, great Kshatriya, great king. That we cannot put him down just because he had for his longing for Rama. And who will not love Rama? If you have a son like that, anybody will be attached to a son like that, isn't it? So, anyway, Janaka is a jnani, and look at how so much activities he would have been involved in, isn't it? Being a king. But he had no attachment. You can be amidst everything and still be detached, and you can leave everything and still be attached. So he's not talking about poverty here. Talking about vairagya. Raga, not having a longing. Raga means longing. Viraga means not having a longing. So it is not about having riches and not having riches. Yogarato va bhogarato va sangarato va sangarihina yasya brahmani ramate chittam nandati nandati nandatyeva. Yogarato va. This person may be in enjoying all the yoga. All the yoga means not all the yogas. All the yoga means all the riches in the world. Like Janaka, I just said. He must be a rich person. He must be having everything. He must be having power, influence, good looks, fit body, everything. In whichever way, intelligence, smart, everything. He may have everything. Wonderful friends, wonderful family. Everything he may have, everything that you can ask for, this person may have. Yoga Ratova. And enjoying also. He is happy. See, a jnani is not going to feel, if have a long face, oh, I don't want all this. He's not going to reject. Rejection is not jnanam. If you are rejecting, then you are afraid of something. If you are afraid that it will get stuck, I'm afraid that I may get attached to you. Which means you have an attachment, you have a longing for it. In spite of being with everything, all Arthakama, and also Bhoga, all the enjoyments he has. Amidst all the enjoyments, Bhoga Ratova. He may be sannyasi, okay? And Sangaratova. And he has a lot of company, Sangarataha, when he has a lot of relations, whatever, okay? Sangha, with people, Sangaratova. Sangarihina, oh, he has no one, okay? Nobody is there. Yasya Brahmani Ramate Chittam, for the one who is established in Brahman, in one own self, one who doesn't require anything else, he doesn't require any company to keep himself in good mood. He doesn't need anything in order to be happy, because he's one who has realized that he is Ananda Swarupa. For him, Yasya Brahmani Ramate Chittam, one whose mind revels in Brahman. In Brahman means in one own self. Nandati Nandati Nandatyeva. He is always happy. He is always Ananda. One who has a Dhrida Vairagya. He is a sannyasi. For such person, Ananda is always there. First he was talking about a person who doesn't have Vairagya but lives under all trees. He leaves everything and goes. Even if without Vairagya, even if you leave everything and go, you are still a samsari only. But suppose with Vairagya, you live amidst everything, you are still a sannyasi. So you can be living in a palace. He's happy. No, I'm not going to give you the palace, get out. I'm happy. It's not going to make him unhappy. Because he is okay if you make him sit under a tree or sit inside a temple, in a mandapa, wherever you put him, this fellow is happy. He's not bothered. He doesn't care. And this wise man is never afraid of dealing with money also. There are many people who are afraid of being rich. oh, if I am rich, then I can't, this will happen, that will happen, that will happen. So the people who do not want to rich, want to be rich. Then how will, and they also want to have money. They hate rich people. They're afraid of being rich, but still they want money. Very complicated. So the one who knows the truth of oneself is not afraid of having any riches, and he's not afraid of not having any riches. He's detached. Whatever you are detached. Nothing seems to be a source of fear or a source of pleasure. Nothing is a threat for this person. Ramate Chittam. His mind is always abiding in himself. Nandati, Nandati, Nandatyeva. So through Atmajnana, that was Atmajnanam is how this Atmajnanam is possible. He says in the beginning itself, right? Don't you have anyone to lead you? Have you not still found the Guru? So if you have gone to a Guru, this will happen. If you don't go to a Guru, then that in between sannyasi, that will happen. Or you will be within samsara and you will be irresponsible. You will say, the first thing this fellow will do is reject his wife. Because he feels big rejecting one's wife and one's children. Oh, you people are samsara. I don't want you. They won't do their responsibility, duties also towards their family because this fellow. So rejection makes them feel good, because you can reject only the one who is dependent on you. You can't reject anybody else. On whom you are dependent. If you reject them, they'll give you one kick. Then you have to go and beg that fellow. So the best way is to reject people who are dependent on you. It makes you feel good when they come and beg you. This is another psychological problem. Some people study Vedanta and do all this nonsense at home. So the Shastra says that the change of lifestyle is not necessary. Nowhere it is said that once you have Atmajnanam, you have to change the lifestyle. You are a sannyasi. A sannyasi is one who has Atmajnanam, that's all. You can be a grihastha, you can be a brahmachari, you can be a vanaprastha, you can be a... Take sannyasa as a lifestyle. Sannyasa as a lifestyle is different from sannyasa through jnana. Just because somebody has taken a lifestyle of sannyasa, it doesn't mean the person is a jnani. Jnani is different, sannyasi is different. Sannyasa lifestyle is different. So one should not confuse with both. So Vairagya is the qualification for a seeker. So Bhajagovindam is about making you see the truth of life. And he says develop Vairagya towards life. Bhagavad Gita, how do I do this? Bhagavad Gita, Kinchida Gita, Ganga Jalalava Kanika Pita, Sakradapi Yena Murari Samarcha, Priyate Tasya Yamena Nacharcha. The Bhagavad Gita. A person who has studied Bhagavad Gita, Kinchit, at least little bit he's saying. Kinchit, in the sense, not one verse here and one verse there, not like that. If you had studied the whole of Bhagavad Gita and understood even a little bit, you should have studied. You can't say, you say first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, What is the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita? First chapter of Bhagavad Gita is about the armies, how they arrange themselves, how they and the list of all the Pandavas and list of the Kauravas, all the Maharathis. That is first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. You say, I studied first chapter of Bhagavad Gita and what Atmajnanam you will get. So, Bhagavad Gita has to be studied properly. By whom Bhagavad Gita has been studied properly, at least one should have at least studied the Karma Yoga portion, where Bhagavan talks about certain qualifications you need even to study the Shastra. If you want to go to a Guru and study the Shastra, the Upanishads, then you need a particular frame of mind, a particular certain qualifications are required. Only such person can study. So Bhagavad Gita cannot be studied by others. Is it closed for others? It is a secret. No, he's not saying. You won't understand, that's all. Don't understand. Even when the teacher keeps on repeating the same thing every day again and again and again and again, you're not going to understand because your mind is occupied with something else. If the mind is occupied with many other things, how are you even going to understand? Because if your mind is occupied with pravritti marga, okay, pravritti means moving towards, you are always towards arthakama. And Bhagavad Gita is talking about nivritti. Nivritti means moving away from arthakama. See, if you have a mind which has nivritti, pravritti, and you come and sit in a class which is talking about nivritti, then nothing is going to happen. You may feel good listening to all those things, but there won't be any change in you. So, the first qualification for the study of Bhagavad Gita is first understand the reality of life. Then only it will make sense. Otherwise, Bhagavad Gita is not simple chat between Krishna and Arjuna. It is very profound. The subject is really, straight away Bhagavan says in the second chapter, Ashurjan, Anvashurja Sambhav, Prajnavadamsha Vansa, Gatasuna Gatasuncha Nanushotanti Pandidaha. Teaching is over with that one verse, actually. One verse is fully loaded. Whole teaching is over with that. That is, it's not simple. Many people think Bhagavad Gita is so simple. No. And Bhagavad Gita is not a stotra that you chant every day and you will get punyam. No. How by saying 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, 2 plus 3 is equal to 5 is going to give you punyam? It's not going to give. It's not something to be by-hearted. It's something to be understood. The equation, it is talking about Tattvamasi. It is talking about Jiveshwara Aikya. It says you and Ishvara are one and the same. How is it possible? So, how can you sit in a class without certain leisure in the mind? That leisure is possible only when you understand certain things and develop certain qualities within yourself. We'll see those qualities if we have time. If people attend class, then we'll see all that. Bhagavad Gita Kinchidadita Ganga Jala Lavakanika Pita. Kinchit, understood properly. Adhita. Adhita means understood, studied and understood properly. Ganga Jala Lavakanika Pita. Even a drop is enough if you have Shraddha. Ganga Jala. Because we have these stories like people live in the banks of the Ganga and still they don't have Shraddha in the Ganga. But people from here, they will go Lungu all the way to Ganga Snanam, Gangotri and all that. Lot of Shraddha. Anyone who does with Shraddha, the Ganga is capable of really removing all your papa. Shraddha. With Shraddha, just a drop of Ganga if you can have. Ganga Jala Lavakanika Pita, it can purify you, it can make you qualified for, it doesn't give you moksha. Moksha is only through jnana, not by drinking Ganga. So you may live in the banks of Ganga still, you will see it as a water supply. We say we have a river, we have enough water, wonderful, sweet, lovely water. You can feel proud about that. But if you have devotion towards Ganga, then Ganga is mother. So Papakshaya happens. Then she blesses. So we say Gange Chayamne Cheva, I was teaching it to the children, right? So every day is Snanam. Okay, I can't go to the rivers, all the rivers, what do I do? So bhavana is there. Every day in the bucket water or the shower water, tank water, whatever water you use, you say Gange Cha, Yamune Cheva, Godavari, Saraswati. Oh mother, you have to see them as, invite them and invoke them in the water with Shraddha, not just Gange Cheva, not like that. You have to visualize the Ganga, Narmada, Godavari, Saraswati, Sindhu, all those rivers being blessing this bucket water with which you are going to take bath and the water with which you are going to cook, you are going to drink. The bhavana is enough for you to invoke. With that bhavana, if you can do Satradati little bit. Even in Panchapatra, in puja, generally in puja they will cover the Panchapatra with their hand, put some akshata and pushpam and say Gange Yamune Chaiva Godavari Saraswati, right? So the Ganga Jala purifies everything. That's why they will sprinkle that water after reciting that. Even Gange, 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 you say it's enough. You sprinkle that water. Sakradapi Yena Murari Samyak Archa with Shraddha. One who has done puja, archana to Murari, Maharshi, Krishna. Okay? Even once, properly with Shraddha. If you have done Kriyate tasya yamena na charcha. Yamena, no charcha. You have no argument with Yama. You are not going to ask Yama to come later or come soon. Why don't you come and take me? Will not be there. Oh God, please don't take me now. I have a lot of responsibilities. Please be there. You are not going to have any conversation with Yama. You are not afraid. You are not avoiding. You are not calling. Kriyate tasya yamena. No discussion with Yama. Because which means there is no fear. What is that? Because Atma never dies, the body which falls. I am not subject to birth, I am not subject to death. Okay, let us see even as bhakti. Even if you say as bhakti, the one who has surrendered to Vishnu, one who has surrendered to Bhagavan, even he has no fear. We have the stories of Prahalada, right? He was thrown from the mountain, he was pushed into the fire, the elephants came to trample him, the snakes came to bite him. Nothing happened to him. Just no fear. Because Bhagavan is there, he will take care of it. So even from the standpoint of bhakti, when you see once the jiva leaves the body, the Vishnu Dutas will come and receive you instead of Yama Dutas. The Vishnu Dutas will come and take you lovingly. They will take you different lokas. You have no fear of death. So what do you ask Murari? What will you ask Krishna? What will you ask Mahavishnu? पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि मरणं पुनरपि जननी जठरे शयनम् इह संसारे बहुदुस्तारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे. हे मुरारे, हे कृष्ण, पाहि माम, protect me, कृपया, out of compassion, out of mercy, be merciful, have compassion over me. Kripaya apare. Apare means let me cross. What? This samsara. The samsara, I told you, no? Samsara is always compared to an ocean. This samsara sagara. Please help me to cross. I do not know how to do it all alone. Eka nauka, we saw, no? There's only one boat. The boat is Shastra and the boatman is Krishna. Here, Bhagavan himself is the Guru. The first Guru is always Bhagavan, right? Either it is Narayana or it is Sadashiva. If you are a Shaiva, you will say Shiva. If you are a Vaishnava, you will say Narayana. Doesn't matter. Bhagavan has no confusion. Whomever you call Bhagavan protect. So he say Bahutustara. The crossing the samsara seems to be very difficult. Bahutustara. Taran, even to cross, Bahudustara. Dustara means difficult. So Kripaya Pare, please help me to cross this samsara. Means this person has an ichcha for moksha. Only the one who has moksha ichcha will ask that. Otherwise, he will ask only to cross over one particular situation. Oh Bhagavan, now I don't know how I'm going to get the admission. Please help me cross this admission ocean, this problem. He's not talking about one particular situation. He's talking about the whole samsara of becoming, samsara of sukha dukkha. He says, Bhagavan, it is really very difficult. Why? Because punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, again I am born, again I die. Punarapi jatare shayanam. Janani means mother, in the womb of a woman. So the womb in which you rest is your mother, right? Punarapi janani means the one who gives janma is called janani. The one who gives birth is janani. Punarapi janani. Again, jatare, in her womb, I have to Shayanam, again I have to rest, again I have to, be there. Again and again I'm going through this. I don't know how to cross this ocean. Hey Bhagwan, this samsara, this bondage, I'm really struggling. It's dustara to cross, it's very difficult to cross. Every time I try to cross, I keep drowning. I don't know what to do. Please help me cross this samsara. Even in this Bhagavad Gita Dhyanam, I'll just complete this. In Gita Dhyanam, there is a beautiful shloka. Bhishma Drona Tata Jayadratha Jala Gandhara Nilotpala Shalyagrahavati Krupena Vamani Karnena Vela Kula Ashvattama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhanavartini Sutirna Khadu Pandavai Rananadi Kaivartaka Keshava. So Kaivartakaha, the boatman is Keshava. He is describing the Mahabharata as a dangerous ocean. So I will continue that in the next class. Already time is up. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhavet Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.